It's really great to be here. It's always one of the high points of my year to be able to be at Pioneers. It's just incredible. And I want to dedicate this talk to all of you and all of those everywhere who are working to defend the sanctity of the earth's precious land, waters, and life. Over the past several decades, we have begun to decode and decipher the inner workings of nature. The 3+ billion year old language of nature is being revealed. And in its teachings, we are discovering the principles of design, the principles of ecological design. And it's upon these that we will be able to change how we live. With nature's instructions, we can evolve a technological and social framework that can heal the earth and support all beings, including humans, in a symbiotic harmony. This we are learning from the workings of the natural world. And through ecological design, we can cultivate a generation of stewards of the earth. And ecological knowledge, as Kenny alluded to, transcends human intelligence. And I'll just give you an example of that. If one is to take, as you see in that drawing, a pond and connect it to a marsh, and you do this as a sort of human architect or gardener, if you will, and then in turn, you connect it to another kind of ecology in the background. When you link those three subsystems from nature together, you create, with the help of hundreds or thousands of species of organisms, a new kind of meta-intelligence. And when they come together as a living technology, they then allow you to do things that were impossible before. For example, you can use them to generate fuels. You can use them to grow foods. You can use them to transform waste into clean and usable products. You can use them to regulate climate in buildings, or even, as you will see, to restore damaged and degraded environments. So it is the bringing together of different ecologies and then directing them with the human intelligence, the smallest part of it all, that marvelous things can begin to happen. Here you're looking down at Lake Champlain, which separates the Adirondacks to the west and the Green Mountains in Vermont to the east. And it's a lake that is truly beloved by many people. It's also a lake in danger. And down below on the edge of the lake is a greenhouse-like structure. And inside that structure is the most wonderful and rather magnificent garden. There are over several hundred species of plants. many, many different forms of life. And that garden is a sewage treatment plant using ecological strategies to transform, in just a little over 2 days, raw sewage from the city of South Burlington into pure water. And it's made up of a whole bunch of tanks, big deep tanks that go down into the ground. And it's in these tanks that the ecology of life, hundreds of species, interacts with the waste at each stage in its transformation to provide an optical system powered by that great force, sunshine, to transform the waste. And in there are many, many different kinds of plants. Some plants that help grow bacteria and feed bacteria. Other plants that break down carcinogens and those chemicals that Kenny was talking about. Other plants that sort of sequester metals. And it's this symphonic action rather than the magic bullet of a simple solution that allows this rapid transformation to take place. Pure water. The top line basically shows over a several year period how dirty the water is coming in. The bottom line, that you can barely see, shows how clear it is, crystal clear going out. The top line shows the organic loading coming in over a 2-year period. The bottom line shows the absence of organic material. And again, the interesting thing is that with the help of a combination of native and tropical plants, it does this in winter, spring, summer, and fall. And here at the top line is a toxic material that's produced biologically called ammonia. And the bottom line is the level of that material going out. So that here it is detoxifying the water, making it possible downstream for fishes and clams and many species, including those endangered, to survive and help in the process. And part of the journey of the ecological designer is to look for allies. In fact, the ecological designer's journey is really a natural history tale to find those creatures that can be of use to it. These are snails, which basically keep these systems clean. And here is a tank full of several thousand species of fish. And what they do is eat the dead and dying bacteria. And because they do that, there's no noxious byproduct called sludge. Sludge to an ecological designer is incomplete design. And then the plants, they spend their first year or so of their life with their roots on special racks in the water, and after that, they are separated out. And then they go out into the horticultural market, and there they become, in essence, purifiers of air. The early parts of their lives, they were purifiers of water. So what you're beginning to see is a new economic paradigm. Waste, sewage as a source of economy. Those fishes you saw a couple of images ago, in a period of 8 or 9 months, go from being worth less than $1 to being worth close to $10. So you get some sense that there's a new economy at work here. An economy made possible by building into the restoration process these economic elements. Here we're looking at a drawing of a small lake. Kenny talked about it, that was polluted so badly, still polluted. 30 million gallons a year come in from a landfill into this lake. And when we started to work on it a number of years ago, it was comatose. It was dead. We then began to work by using windmills to bring the oxygen-deprived water from the bottom up to expose it to light and air. And the patient began to sort of cough and resuscitate, but it couldn't quite sort of take care of itself with just the windmills. So then we began to think, is there a floating equivalent of that living ecology that you saw in the greenhouse? Is there something like that that could be placed on the water? And what would it be like? And so here we designed the first, a very small one. As you'll see in a couple of moments, they get larger with time. And in this, with the sun and the wind, 100,000 gallons a day of this highly polluted water were pumped up through 9 cells, and at each stage in the process, the water was transformed, and then the great pond itself began to be transformed. Bottom sediments were digested, carcinogenic chemicals were broken apart. In a very short period of time, it was brought back to life. But because it still gets 30 million gallons a year of toxic material coming into it, it requires the ongoing support of a floating technology like that. This is a drawing of a lagoon. And into this lagoon goes 1.3 million gallons a day, roughly, of high-strength waste from a poultry slaughterhouse that kills 1 million chickens a week. And that lagoon that was there was all there was between that slaughterhouse and Chesapeake Bay. And this is not an unusual story. And so here you see a drawing of a very much more complex now restored technology. Under the water, we've created artificial kelp forests and things like that to provide a sort of a three-dimensional living space. And on the surface, some 25,000 plants have been assembled on these restores that you see there to provide a sort of a really powerful ecological environment for the transformation of this waste. And here it is, it's just finished construction. You can see the real thing down there. You can see it's miles and miles of material in the water. And you can notice there that there's very gentle aeration to cause the sort of water to turn over. In fact, by developing this technology as compared to the conventional one, we were able to reduce the energy costs by 74% in the treatment of this kind of waste. But what I'd like to show you is what happens when you get the plants right. In these case, all the plants but one are natives. There they are in June. There they are in August, and there they are in October. It's just amazing. They're responding. Mind you, this is 20 years of looking for plants that like to do this. But it's quite amazing what nature can do. What about the canals? For as long as I can remember, I wanted to clean up the canals of Venice and, still be able to eat at night there in some of those fancy restaurants. And finally, this is a drawing of a canal restore. And finally, this last year, we got a chance to start a canal restoration project. This is the city of Fuzhou in South China. It is a city of canals. And into its canals, about 3/4 to 4/5 of its waste as sewage goes untreated directly into the canals. So you can imagine what it smells like, but I bet you can't imagine what it looks like. Well, here's what it looks like. You can see these, just about everything under the sun is in there. Look at that. I mean, you can imagine. And that thing that you see on the left is the beginning of the restore technology under construction. So that's also the working environment that some of us delight in. And here it is, partly finished. You can see it's still under construction, but the plants have just been planted. You can see how long this is. This is almost 1 kilometer. It's the first, and if this is fully successful, we'll go 80 kilometers or roughly 56 miles of canals. But here's what it looks like. Here's what it looks like a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. It's coming clear and it doesn't stink. We're just beginning a similar kind of project in a river